Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature with Evan and Gabby. Double features, double takes. This is where we talk about two movies, one new, one older, what makes them a good pair, and how the history of films influence the present. I'm Evan.
And I'm Gabby.
And today we are discussing M3gan 2
and Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
An incredible pairing for these incredible robots. When we were talking about creating this, this podcast about pairing films, I was like, oh, there's something really interesting here. And you're like, we could talk about M3gan 2 and T2. Honestly, I was like, whoa, that's a pretty crazy. That's a really good.
But what makes it crazy?
Episode.
Why is it crazy now that you've seen both of them?
I think just how similar the movies are. Actually, like if you really think about it, they're super, super similar. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't know, we just love robots, huh?
Some people love robots. I don't love robots personally, but some people do. I'm not going to name names here. But yeah. So one of these films that we're going to talk about today is considered to be among the greatest sequels of all time, full stop. Up there on a very short and prestigious list with movies that are considered to be better than the original source material. Godfather 2, Evil Dead 2, Shrek 2, Spider-Man 2, Toy Story 2, Aliens, The Empire Strikes Back, The Dark Knight, Before Sunset, Paddington 2, and Terminator 2.
And the other film, of course, is M3gan, which I think on paper is technically a sequel.
It's a sequel. It has the number 2 in it.
I remember.
But then again, so does the first movie.
The first one has M3.
M3gan. Oh, you're right.
It's three. M3gan, right? M3gan. And then M3gan 2. And then M3gan 3 will just be.
Will there be a M3gan 3?
That's a great conversation.
Are we going to talk about that today?
But again, like we kind of teased at the beginning, but both of these films have one key ingredient. They both star robots who are faced with a potential robot uprising and must ultimately go against their own kind and save humanity.
Tales old as time.
You know, Terminator, are they robots, the machines, they're cyborgs, they're androids?
It's unclear.
We're just going to say robots. If you're going to come for us in the comments, please.
Be my guest.
Yeah.
Be my guest.
We could just call them Roombas every time. I could just keep calling them Roombas.
I think that's offensive to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Personally.
I think he could be a Roomba. He kind of cleans up.
Only in this movie.
All right, should we get into it? Should we talk about M3gan 2?
Let's talk about M3gan.
Yeah.
So this movie hit theaters very recently, June 27, 2025. It stars Allison Williams, Violet McGraw, Ivana Sacco, Brian Jordan Alvarez, Jen Van Epps, Aristotle Athari, Jermaine Clement, and as the voice of the titular M3gan doll, Jenna Davis.
Yeah, it was written and directed by Gerard Johnstone. He directed the first M3gan back in 2022. But this time he gets full credit for the screenplay as well, a change from M3gan's original writer, Akela Cooper. Although she and producer James Wan do get a story by credit.
It was produced by Jason Blum for Blumhouse, James Wan, and Allison Williams, PGA.
Hey, go Allison Williams.
Good for her.
Good for her.
She's thriving.
She's honestly, yeah. How many of her own stunts do you think she did in this movie?
I really appreciated it. I gotta say, I'm gonna preface this by saying that I had 3 margaritas before I went to see this movie. but I was mostly sober by the third act when Allison Williams starts doing her own stunts, but her hair is like fully over her face. And I was like, so they just put a wig over a stunt double. Yeah. And I appreciated that.
Clever way to get around
that.
It
Felt like some real like old school movie magic where you look at something and you're like, oh, I see what you did there. Mm-hmm. Unlike in T2 where you can fully see the stunt double sometimes. Yes, yeah. And I appreciate that too. We'll get to it.
Yeah. The margaritas that you had, I'm assuming you went to an AMC, right?
I sure did.
Were they called a M3gan-rita?
No, I wish they did. They were, but they had a titular M3gan drink. It was called the M3ganade and it had rum in it. Okay. So I didn't do that because I'm old now and I don't want to mix my liquors. But,
yeah, fair enough.
But my friend did have it and it did just look like pink glittery sugar and rum. And and cost $24.
Oh my God. I mean, they gotta make their money somehow.
I used my Stubbs points and I got $10 off my non-M3gan-rita, but okay. So this movie, like, it starts with just like the campiest kind of play on like a cold open for an action movie like this. Like
yeah.
from the jump, it's basically telling you this is an action movie now. And you don't see Megan, you see her new counterpart or evolution, you know, kind of the T1000 to her T800.
Yeah.
And she is like very topically in Iran, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think they knew the news.
When the title card came up, there was an audible sound in the theater.
I was laughing, but I was 3 margaritas deep in the beginning. So I was laughing. I was like, oh, they did not time this release purposefully. But she's stealing, I believe, like a neurotoxin, this new version of Megan. And she is kicking ass. Like, she is. She's doing her job. She's doing it well. And there's some like bureaucrats up in there that are trying to be like, this weapon, this new improved version of Megan is going to be what takes us into the future of like war crimes, I guess. And then the Megan 2.0 turns against them. Shocker. Yeah. The government can't trust the robots. Oh no.
Yeah. It was very funny when they're like when they realized they're like, oh no, we're not in control. It's like, yeah, of course.
Have you seen another movie?
Yeah. I'm glad it kind of happened at the beginning of the movie to kind of just like, you know what, this is where we're gonna set it right, you know, put you right in it,
right in the driver's seat, and then it very, very harshly cuts to the Allison Williams storyline and the continuation of the actual first Megan, which I forgot took place in San Francisco, but I guess does take place in San Francisco. And Allison Williams plays a woman named Gemma in these movies. She is an engineer of sorts, like a mechanical engineer / would you call her a software engineer? Because she did program Megan.
Yeah. She's an inventor.
She's a
modern day inventor. She used to work in toys, and now she works in self-help, inventing yourself as a better person.
Yes, there are many jokes about a bad book that she wrote in this movie. I would love a copy of that if you're giving them away promo-wise, Blumhouse. But she is still caring for her niece, who lost her parents tragically in Megan 1. Katie, I believe her name is.
Katie. And
Katie is turned into kind of a little shit, but like with a purpose and with a point. She's got a point. She does the least violent form of kung fu, we're told many times.
Aikido. And she's supposed but she I like that there's a reference as we kind of move through the movie too. This is, you know, full spoilers in case you haven't picked up on it already. Full spoilers for these movies as we kind of talk about both of them. So, you know, if you wanted to avoid spoilers for Terminator 2, go watch it. Megan 2, not much to spoil, I'll be honest.
No, it was all right there in the trailer.
I do love there's a reference like how when she hits Gemma again, she hit her in the first movie with like a slap, but now she can do Aikido against her and be more damaging, graceful, I guess. So things are not going well in that household, Evan. Gemma is trying really hard to be like a perfect like granola Reddit mom, like no screens. She's like constantly like, this little girl is clearly trying to take after her and become some kind of engineer or some kind of tech, like woman in STEM if we must. But Allison Williams is just very off put by that, because obviously she created a robot that killed a lot of people. So she's like, no, please, Katie, no iPad right now. And that doesn't work because her niece seems smarter than her. Yeah. And then we find out that Megan survived the software of Megan, the AI version of it.
But how we find that out is pretty funny. I was laughing because Allison Williams, she's very on top of all the screens and the tech and the I was like, why do you live in the house that you live in? Why do you live in the smart home from Smart House? For like, why is everything in your house a screen or like automated in some way if you're trying to go off the grid? But everything in this house is automated, and it's referred to many times, including by Allison Williams' new love interest, Christian. Yes, Christian.
I really liked Aristotle in this role, actually.
He was doing the best that he could.
Yeah.
And I really want to know if they called Hayden Christensen first. But
Wow, specific poll. I like that. Yeah.
He just like looks like him a little bit. Like he
Yeah,
was giving me
I
the
can kinda see
vibe,
it,
and I was
yeah.
like, oh, he's shooting Ahsoka right now.
And shout out Ivana Sakno, who was in Ahsoka season 1.
Shout
kind
out,
of
shout out.
Stand out, honestly.
Then they definitely could have gotten hated.
Yeah.
He said no. But
separate episodes, but still,
yeah. But so yeah, they're living in this smart house that, yes, even Christian at some point is like, how the fuck do you afford this place? Like, what are you paying for this? I think your landlord has a crush on you, but we never see the landlord.
Yeah.
And then we learn that M3gan is the landlord.
Yeah.
M3gan has somehow, despite not having a body anymore, like built and put together this whole house, like to keep them safe.
Yeah, still
contained.
She continuing her operation just of her objective, right, which is to protect Katie. Yeah. And yeah, she has constructed this world around them. Like, she bought so many copies of Gemma's books that's sitting in a storage container.
65,000 copies.
Despite like how we're gonna get after this, the movie kind of gets a little it gets very interesting. But I did like this setup, right, of just being like, yeah, this is where we're at, and how M3gan this is how they can be successful with M3gan.
And it should be noted, I think that the script definitely loses this thread from here until the very end.
Yeah.
But the little girl, Katie, is clearly struggling still with the events of what happened in M3gan 1, because she was friends with this doll, and she doesn't understand how this doll that loved her so much and was protecting her and, was so loyal to her could have tried to, 1, kill her aunt, and 2, kill other people and like show like emotions, you know? So she's clearly not ahead on AI, but that AI has learned emotions. And so she's wondering like, oh, did M3gan not care about me at all? Was this all a lie? But then, surprise, M3gan has, yes, not only crafted the whole house for her, but a secret underground bunker.
Yeah. It's really... There's multiple shots too of characters being wowed by the bunker. Even later, when
it's a pretty impressive bunker.
Yeah, even just jumping ahead for a second, but like even when Christian is welcomed into the bunker, even though we've spent many minutes in the bunker already, we need another establishing shot to show that the bunker is actually really cool.
This is where the budget
their own
went.
Space, and Aristotle's like, "Whoa, this is a lot."
I liked the attention to detail, but there's like some trees down there with a grow light on it.
Well, because I guess M3gan knew, right? She built the bunker because of the relationship that she has with Amelia, right? This evolution of M3gan. She knows that Amelia, it's presented to us that Amelia now is trying to merge with this with the original AI, basically.
The motherboard, literally. Motherboard. It's called the motherboard.
And they will lead a kind of T2 Judgment Day, honestly, of rise up of led by them, right? The two of them, and then
quite literally the same plot. Like, Amelia is the T1000 of this film. She is unstoppable. She is seemingly made of some sort of impenetrable metal. I don't know if it's supposed to be liquid, but and she can take many forms. She can kind of shapeshift. She can change her voice, which something that Arnold Schwarzenegger, the T800 can do, and the T1000. But yeah, it's very interesting how much thought M3gan put into this. Yeah. And how she has been controlling the strings apparently for like 3 years or however long it's been since the original movie. She has like put them in this position because Amelia, they only find themselves in that bunker after Amelia, her threat is clear. Like, she kills Jermaine Clement, who is playing some sort of Elon Muskian, Tim Cook kind of hybrid, if you will. She seduces him and kills him in a very unsexy, very funny scene. Our whole theater did gasp when Jermaine Clement just like ripped his shirt open, and it was clearly like muscle plates. It was good. But what is it exactly? What was your take on what Amelia was trying to access when she steals and like uploads herself, or like tries to get into like all of the cloud storage or all of that? What is she trying to do? That like, what is she What is her objective? Because I don't think the script knows.
No, I don't think they know. Yeah, I think there's a line somewhere that clarifies like what exactly Jermaine Clement's character's relationship, his business relationship, is with the company that either hides or houses the motherboard. There's something there, but it's very tenuous and it's very, very plotty. Like this movie spends a lot of time kind of laying down foundations of like, this is why you should care about something, and it gets a little. I mean, the fact that we can't remember is like, it is just confusing.
I mean, I had 3 margaritas, but
yeah,
that's why I'm asking you.
I was just hanging out with my friend Tommy. So, yeah.
Going into this movie sober is a real choice, but hello.
Hey.
But yeah, so because of what Amelia has done, hijacked this cloud storage that has legs everywhere, like across the country, and impacts every place. And yeah, there's like talk of like economic crash, like everything's gonna be, the world is gonna end. So we find ourselves in this bunker, and Megan like essentially blackmails Gemma and her friends to build her a new body, in which she is taller.
No longer a kid, she's grown up.
Yeah, she is a full young adult / teen, more like Katie. And she is, she wants this body because she wants to go against Amelia in the flesh, or whatever they actually use for flesh. And Megan makes the point multiple times that like is trying to connect the dots, that like Amelia is searching for the motherboard because it literally is her mother, or is some kind of like parent software, which is the film's very clumsy way of trying to relate the theme of parenthood and being a good mom to Allison Williams and Katie.
Yeah, this family that you are a part of,
it's like chosen family mixed with like you can't choose your family, like it's a very confused jumbled version of that.
Because that is the only reason she's trying, and Amelia does over the course of the film kind of make several not real attempts, but like concessions to Megan, like, you should be with us, we are your family,
which makes
they
sense.
are not.
It does make sense. And it does kind of hit on that idea that Katie is wrestling with, of like, does Megan feel emotions? Does Megan actually feel loyal to me, or is it just programming? So it does hit on that just a little bit, but you know, Amelia has a point. She has a point, which I mean, I think is one of the things that we can get into that the T-1000 doesn't quite do in Terminator 2. Doesn't quite make that argument to Arnold that like, why are you protecting the human race?
But in a way that also keeps it simpler, right? The machine also has its own objective, and like, you're not getting bogged down in like the why of it. You're just like, there's 2 new machines. One is after the kid, and the other one is protecting the kid. That's it. That's like, the
framework of both of those both of these movies. But one
is stuff Megan too with all these other little things. Like, there's a moment where Christian's explaining the layout of where the motherboard places. I'm like, why are we even here?
He used to be a security guard. Like, so there's like a very like convoluted reason why he knows, or why his fingerprints would work to open where the motherboard is. And I must tell you, Evan, that the second he said that, I was like, oh, he's still working for them.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I was like, excuse me, his fingerprints from when he worked there like 15 years ago are still gonna open the motherboard. Like, my old employer deleted my email address within like 6 weeks of me being gone. Maybe 6 hours. Like, his fingerprints are no longer there. So I was like, oh, I see where this is going now. And yeah, it gets very T2 and very action heavy from there. There's literally a sequence in which Megan has to, would you call it paragliding?
She base jumps. That's what it is. The glide suit, basically. No reason. It's a CGI slop. Was not necessary. I understand like the intention that it was like cool but it was not. It was very odd.
But that's a lot of this movie, is that it has kind of forgotten what genre it's in. Like, the first Megan was very successful because it was kind of this campy horror thriller. And now I just got the impression throughout this entire movie that this director just kind of wanted to make an action movie.
Well,
like there's not many jump scares.
Yeah.
There's not really any, except for when Megan starts singing again to Allison Williams.
That was a good scene. It was funny.
That was funny, but I did jump a little bit. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this was the scariest part of the movie.
Yeah, it's because it was kind of loud.
It was pretty loud. I don't even remember what song it was. It was just something.
Yeah, it was something
like it was really soft and gentle though.
Yeah, I think it was like a pop song that I don't know. Yeah, it was.
But yes.
Yeah.
So it just kind of turns into a different movie, and I think that the movie it's trying to be is Terminator 2.
Yeah. So let's kind of like talk about like the success then of this movie, right? So this movie has only made $10 million in its opening weekend so far, right? And that is more, the original M3gan grossed more than that on just its opening day alone, right?
That's true. The original M3gan like started with a like Tik Tok Dance phenomenon that like brought people to the theaters, me included.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched the first M3gan for the first time, like for this podcast, and I remember seeing that dance in the trailers and stuff like that, and then I was like, wow, that was such a small part of this movie, but it's
30 seconds.
But it was that energy was such a big like thing. Of people talking about it, of getting people to sit down. And so if you're thinking about like the original M3gan movie and that tone, and Blumhouse says, all right, we want a sequel, is this the only way that a sequel for that movie like can manifest, right? Because how do you bring the doll back? You need a reason to recreate it, and at that point, is it scary? Could Ivana Sanko's Amelia been another scary M3gan, right?
That is what I was looking for in this, I'll be honest. Like, I think that I was expecting some horror wheels to turn a little bit more once Amelia gets a hold of Katie, which is inevitable. Like, Amelia takes hold of her, kidnaps her, and we later find her in the underground area where Christian, spoiler, the villain of this film, works, and where the motherboard is kept, and where Amelia is kept. Like, I guess she's hooked up to a lot of things, and she's being constantly watched by a bunch of
they reveal that Amelia
nerds.
has never had autonomy the whole movie that we've seen her, that
she's being controlled,
but she still is, for some reason then, is still fueled by the M3gan algorithm, and
it doesn't
M3gan
make a lot of sense.
It's very odd.
It's very...
Katie decides to reprogram Amelia. She repairs with Amelia to activate M3gan's original programming.
Which does work for like a hot second. Very hot second.
And I love to unpack that moment too, because like the minute she is born again as a new M3gan, Amelia 2.0, one might say, the guards come in and they basically like slaughter her. Like they really like take her to town. She like gets destroyed. Something causes her to reboot in like autonomous mode, which if you're Gemma, are you really programming a robot with autonomous mode? Just in case.
Gemma has made mistakes and it's all in her book, Evan. You really need to read that fucking book.
I didn't do the homework. But then she comes back and she now is it's technically a third Amelia that we've met, but it's supposed to remind us of the first Amelia's desires, which is we are like with the motherboard.
Right. But it's just, I think that it could have been scarier. Like, I think that if this movie wanted to remind audiences, especially horror audiences, which are like notoriously Blumhouse's base, and also the most notorious constant moviegoers, then I was looking for a twist with Amelia to be like, oh, she has Katie in like a torture dungeon, or like something is going on where this child is actually in danger, and there is no danger. This little girl is like, she's in a room, a pretty nice like conference room, just like doing her homework and waiting for Allison Williams to save the day. And I'm like, I feel like we could have gone a little scarier, a little deeper, a little more reminder to the audience of what we liked about the first movie, and in terms of the jump scares and the vibes. I think
I definitely was surprised at how unscary it was, or even attempts at
not
being
scary,
that, right?
No. And and obviously the very end of this movie sees M3gan quite honestly have to pull a Terminator 2, but with no emotional holding.
There's a shortcut the movie takes, right, where in the movie Katie I think explains some concept to Megan and she's like, well, you don't do it because you're programmed to, you do it because you want to.
That's right.
And so Megan she echoes the line when basically the mother Amelia 3.0 is about to
she gets the motherboard.
She sees it. She merges with it. Her eyes are glowing white. She's basically funny. Becoming like this, robot god,
like Megan, all-knowing, sentient,
yeah. But she can still be taken out by an EMP, which Megan has embedded in her wrist that Gemma put in as a failsafe.
Yeah.
Megan turns to Katie. She says, "I'm not doing it because I have to. It's because I want to." And that's the movie. That's the shortcut, right? It's like, well, we heard the line, and now we get the payoff.
We heard the line, and I think that yes, that moment is supposed to have some kind of emotional hold on us.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't. And I don't know if it's because the movie has not built up these relationships in the same way, or if the characters are not as well drawn.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it just does not hit, but that moment just like thudded in our theater.
Because even thinking back to the first movie, like even though there's like some kind of like lapses in like there's like some small plot holes in like Megan deciding to go crazy at the end there and like beat up both Gemma and Katie effectively, like because if her goal was to protect Katie, she wouldn't do this. But there is like all those scenes of all those scenes of Katie and Megan talking in Katie's bedroom, like before she's going to sleep. There's some really touching things there, even when Katie's crying in the demonstration.
There's bonding. There's actual bonding.
Yeah.
And I think this movie takes too long to get us back with Megan, like with the physical Megan. Like they make a good montage out of building her body and making her into Megan 2.0, but it takes us so long to get with that Megan that we then don't actually have the runtime to be having just like scenes with Katie and Megan.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where this movie loses all of its emotional resonance.
Yeah. And part of that could be, like the trailers like telling us that we're going to get a Megan to like we know Megan's body gets rebuilt in the trailer. That expectation's already set. But you can't sell this movie without having Megan be Megan, the Megan we know, right?
Yes.
And now the movie ends with Megan surviving again. With an
again,
EMP.
It's a fake out. It's a complete fake out death. Another
she becomes
issue.
a Clippy Microsoft Word assistant.
I was completely sober by the end of the movie, and that made me roll my eyes so hard.
Yeah.
Because we do get the moment where we think, okay, Katie has to say goodbye to Megan.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling anything, but clearly this child is. Here we go. Like, give me the lights out moment where Megan goes out guns blazing for Katie, and we don't really get that. We just get the like the EMP thing, and then we think she's dead, and then we're just like smack dab back in the smart house, and Megan's back. I guess, is that the setup for Megan 3.0? Are we getting the trilogy? Evan, what do you think?
I think Megan 3.0 is just gonna be Allison Williams' character writing her new book, and Megan being like a Grammarly assistant trying to tell her that she doesn't know how to write. Like that's the sequel, and it's just like a Before Sunset movie where they just like talk the whole time.
I'd watch it. That would have been a better sequel than what this is.
Well, I will say, seeing the first movie, very campy. I think there was like the tonal whiplash was a little bit much for me. This movie, at least, there was like a more consistent tone because it was like we are an action movie.
We're an action movie now.
But at what cost?
At the cost of at the literal cost of the box office of them losing their audience.
Yeah,
they lost the horror audience for this, and I think that. Yeah, the marketing did not do a great service to this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it just played really hard on the campiness of who Megan is. There were even some very funny Pride Month ads that were like Megan as gay icon, and I was like, okay, going a little far. We're reaching. But yeah, I think that the marketing just tried to sell it as the Megan movie, and that's not even necessarily what we get.
Yeah, we get just something very it was like I was with my friend Tommy, and I went to go see it. We were walking out of the movie, and I was like, I don't know, that was kind of like a B action movie. If it's like it's in the vein of like the Jason Statham stuff,
Like, I mean, the action set pieces themselves are not bad.
Yeah,
they're
fine.
just completely they're off the tone of what this universe has been set up to be.
And they're like directed just like competently, but not like excitingly. Like it's
Right.
almost one of those things where like, you know, George Johnson, he did direct the first one. It's like, well, maybe it's like, oh, maybe he didn't know we were going to lean so into the action, right? He was like, oh, this is just a part of it. We'll have all these other things. Maybe things got changed in editing. Who knows, right? But it's really, really interesting. I mean, just jumping back for a second, like this being an action movie, right? Do you think Blumhouse saw the opportunity and was like, maybe we just try one? We try one with a fan base that's very fervent. We move a little bit different and we see if we can get a different type of audience in. So we don't keep making like the low budget horror stuff.
That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about it. I think that could be really probable. I think that also when you look at their last, I believe the stat was 8 movies have kind of flopped. Maybe there is something to that idea that they're trying something new, or they're seeing that they can't stay in this horror vein forever. Yeah. But, you know, because I'm not familiar with all 8 of those movies necessarily, but I would put a good amount of money on that they were horror. So, you know, maybe the horror audience is wavering also. Maybe they know something we don't, that the horror audience is wavering and they're trying to get the base wider. I think that, that could have been a decent bet with M3gan, something that they thought had a built-in fan base already.
Yeah, and I guess just off the Statham movies, right? Some of those movies like Beekeeper, like they stay in theaters for a while.
A long time. Right? They have legs. Those movies have legs.
Maybe less competition in a certain way, right? There's maybe more horror films coming out theatrically than maybe action movies that there's less room for competition in that sense.
It is interesting when they dropped this movie too in June. June. I think that part of what made M3gan 1 such a success is that it did come out in January. Yeah. Notoriously not a great area to release movies. So if there is one big buzzy movie, obviously it's going to do a lot of work. Yeah. But you know, it's just very interesting to me how they clearly deviated so hard, and I appreciate that they tried something.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, a movie got made. That's what counts. Any final thoughts on M3gan 2?
I just hope that if they do a third one, we get to see Allison Williams do the M3gan crawl thing, you know? Like, they brought that back in this one, and I did laugh. Yeah. But I want it to be Allison Williams.
And we didn't touch on that M3gan takes over Gemma's brain for a second.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about that.
The Neuralink Elon Musk thing. And she could do that was an opportunity for her to do the crawl.
That would have been so funny.
That would have been really funny. Allison, do it. Do it for the next one.
Please. Yeah. give the people what they want.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to Terminator 2. Let us know what you think of M3gan 2.0.
And
if you agree with us.
M3gan 3.
Yeah. Put it in the comments. Leave it as a review.
Is Evan's idea the one we need to run with? Do we think M3gan the clip art is the future?
Grammarly assistant. It's there. All right.
No free ads.
No free ads. All right. We'll be back in just a second.
And this is where we would throw to an ad of our sponsor if we had a sponsor, which is a great opportunity for some small business or large business. We're open to both.
But also, if you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much. Thank you for taking a listen. Thank you for spending, an hour or so with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Matt, who's helping us film. Thank you, Riley, who's also helping us film as well. Thank you, guys. Shout out to Matt's cats. If you've been watching the video version of this, you've seen the cats running around in the background. There was a moment that we forgot to address where on the mics we just go, "Oh, hi." And
that was the cat.
If you're just listening, you would have no idea.
No.
So, thank you so much. Leave a review on whatever podcast platform you listen to. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment. And let's talk about T2.
Please, let's talk about T2.
And we're back.
Let's talk about a superior sequel. Yeah. Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Yeah. Otherwise known simply as T2. Released, I'm going to blow your mind here, Evan, July 3rd, 1991. 34 years ago today. Wow. Today, day of recording.
Happy T2 day, everybody.
Happy T2 anniversary. I wish that we planned this out, but I learned that last night on Wikipedia.
Wow, that's incredible.
This movie stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Robert Patrick, and a very young Edward Furlong. It's directed by James Cameron, produced by James Cameron, written by James Cameron and William Wisher. It's a cool name.
Yeah, it's a great name.
So we've already touched on a little bit that T2 and M3gan 2.0 share a very similar overarching storyline, both clearly concerned with warning the world about AI and the dangers it poses to humanity. Both center, for the most part, on protecting a child. So full spoilers for T2.
Yeah.
If you have not seen it, you definitely should.
My first time watching it. Actually,
really?
Both of the Terminator movies, and in preparation for this.
Oh.
Yeah, I had seen maybe parts of each one at some point. But yeah, I had a great time watching this movie.
Yes, this movie, for lack of a better phrase, fucks. This movie fucks. Like this movie, this is the cinema I was promised when I walked into M3gan 2.0.
Yeah, it's so fun when the Terminators, I guess, arrive in the past and they're completely naked, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger is walking through the bar, and then because it's the 90s, all the women have to go, whoa,
ooh, look at this guy. But I mean, in their defense, did you see the other guys in that bar? Like, there's no one else to look at. Like, they're just like older men with like long biker beards, and I'm like, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger looks different, looks cool.
I wrote this on Letterboxd, and we can plug our Letterboxd at the end.
Oh, we will.
But it's so fun to discover, or rather stumble into the origins of famous movie quotes.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, I think ephemerally I knew like "Hasta la vista, baby."
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I didn't know "Come with me if you want to live."
Really?
I actually didn't know that that's where this was
God.
from. And so when I saw it in the first movie, I almost jumped up from my couch. I was like, whoa. And then they say it again in the second movie, and it's even better.
I'm going to blow your mind again, Evan. Okay. We just talked a little bit about the M3gan 2 marketing and how this movie did not sell M3gan 2 as what it is. T2 did a similar thing way back in the day. So T2, if you've seen the original Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays the titular Terminator, and he is the villain of that movie.
Right.
He is trying to kill Sarah Connor to prevent her from giving birth to her son, John Connor. And because there is a sequel, clearly he fails. And in this movie, he is the good guy. Like, the Terminator is the good guy. He is protecting. He has been sent from the future to protect John and his mother. And there is a bigger, badder villain, the T-1000. And in the marketing for T2, it was still kind of, all the trailers, everything was branded so that you still thought that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the bad guy.
Yeah.
He was still like, until you sat down and heard him say, "Come with me if you want to live." Yeah. You didn't know he was going to be the good guy.
Oh, that's so awesome. I mean, honestly, even
that fucks, right? Why don't we do that anymore?
Even watching the movie, like, I literally no idea. I was watching it, I was like, is he a human? Because I know there's this other movie later, like it came out a couple 10 years ago, I think, where he's like he's still here, so I know he's around, but like, what's happening? And then it's like, oh no, he's just a reprogrammed version. And it's and my favorite thing about that, in comparison to M3gan 2, is that it's done in one line. It's one line. Oh, John sent a reprogrammed Terminator back to protect you.
Yes.
That's it. It's not like, oh, it's a version of the thing but it's a little bit different, and it's controlled by someone else, and blah, blah, blah.
No, we don't need it.
So simple. It's like, and now there's a different Terminator who's out for John, and the one that we thought was evil is good, and he's going to protect us. And it's just that over and over again, and escalating set pieces that are relentless. And it's incredible that the movies flow so well because of how
simple they are.
Yeah, simple they are. And also just like, there's never a moment where they're like, phew, he's finally gone. It's like, nope, we know he's still out there, and he's gonna destroy us, and we're just waiting for it to happen again.
Yeah, well, when you put it that way, it makes it sound like just one long chase movie, and it kind of is. It kind of is. Yeah. I mean, I think that's really smart for pacing reasons and story reasons. It doesn't give the audience time to ask questions the way that M3gan does. Like, it just keeps moving, and it just keeps kind of answering your questions in a really straightforward, simple way, so that you don't have to ask a follow-up, you know? Like, John Connor just swoops in and is like, so, you know, asking the Terminator, like, so do you feel pain or do you feel feelings? And no, he just is like, well, I learned them. So, you know, but that's it. That's all we get. We don't get like a deep dive into like how he learns or why he learns.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter. The movie is good enough to just keep going, and like, it trusts the audience.
Yeah. Yes, that's a great point. There's like so many moments, I think, in modern movies now that like they don't think the audience is smart enough. They have to remind you about certain things in weird ways. There's a moment that happens in M3gan 2.0. I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. Maybe it'll come back to me. But yeah, I think by the time the film ends, you do get this payoff right when there's a moment. It's very, very similar to the I don't have to, I want to, right? In this movie, it's, well, why do you cry?
Yeah,
right?
It's what are your eyes doing, or why are your eyes like that?
Yeah, and then it's like, well, it's because it's pain, and
right.
It's not like physical, it's something else, right? And then before Arnold Schwarzenegger decides to, he's like, I can't self-terminate, right? You have to lower me into the flames. Before he goes down, he looks at Johnny, says, I understand why you cry.
Yeah.
And that is such a good payoff, because it's like, you've seen him and the way he observes, and the slow like understanding, like saying hasta la vista baby, right? Because John teaches him to do that, right? Lowering the thing so he doesn't have to hot wire the car. He just knows the keys are there. Very, very simple plans, be very effective.
All of those things that pay off in the movie are just so simple, and they feel so effortless because 100%. Of that. And you know, I think this is James Cameron's best script for that reason.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's his most to the point and his most like effortless script. He does not get in the weeds, and he's just he trusts us. He trusts Arnold Schwarzenegger. He trusts his actors to like portray this story in a way that is just going to keep moving and keep you guessing almost, you know?
Also, this incredible character in Linda Hamilton, right? We see her as a waitress in the first one, who's always late, who's messing up orders, and now she's like,
she's a Terminator.
There's gonna be
she's basically a Terminator, a human Terminator that's like in a psych ward,
right?
Like,
learning,
she's doing pull-ups, like she's jacked, like, and just threatening the lives of everyone in that hospital, which I support. They all seem really shitty.
And like when John reveals why he's with foster parents, like he's telling his friends, like, she just like met a bunch of like Green Berets, ex-Green Berets, like followed them around, learned as much as she could, and it's so funny.
But again, it's not trying to be funny. It's just like off the dome funny. Like, he's just saying it like as if everyone knows this.
And also then to compare her to Gemma, right? This kind of like misguided parenting, right? Like the reason that she has brought John into situations that have forced her to give him up in the foster care system is because she's trying to protect him, trying to set him up to be the man that allegedly he's supposed to become. Right.
This great leader, this, you know, person who leads the resistance against the robots of the future. And, you know, whether or not he succeeds is kind of left open in this movie. We're not sure if John is going to actually become that leader. And you see him become that leader throughout this movie. Even though he's supposed to be 10 years old.
I mean, though, just switching the guns and like reloading the guns, but then even like, there's some moment where I think he just like he commands something in a certain way. I'm trying to remember the moment, but it just, I was like, oh yeah, it's planting that. You know?
Even when they break into the
like the lab,
and he's like hacking into something, and he's just like, I got this.
Like, he has this card thing.
He's just like, you guys go do what you got to do. I got this.
Well, speaking of the lab, Dysons Death. I know that you wanted to talk about this.
I do. I really want to talk about this because we just do not do deaths like this anymore. Like Dyson, his death matters. Like he's not just like a fake out death to be like retconned later or, you know, there's no point where you think he's going to live. I mean, he dies for a greater cause, which is, you know, not just to move the plot along, but
Yeah.
for humanity. And, you know, just that scene of him, he gets shot up like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Like, he is shot up. And then he has his hand like hovering over the detonator,
yeah.
and just his breathing
Yeah.
in that scene. I was like floored
And
watching
then just
this
the way
again.
he looks over to the cops or whoever it is and just goes, I don't know how long I can hold this. And they're like, what
Run,
do you mean?
run.
And then
Yeah.
it reminds me a lot about, Rogue One, when
Right.
Riz Ahmed's character is kind of like, who is, has also been on the fringes of this story for a
Yeah.
while. And they slowly have to bring him in. And he's been a little like, his sacrifice in that movie always gets me, but that I was like, yeah, like the deaths matter in this. And also you saw what Dyson's family life looked like, and the little kid and his wife, and you
that
know
scene is terrifying.
super terrifying.
It's terrifying. Like Sarah Connor breaks into their house. Like, this jacked woman who just escaped from a mental hospital with her son and a robot from the future just breaks into your house and is like, I need to kill you in order to prevent something from happening in the future. And he's like, oh, I know, but it's too late. Like, what an amazing character introduction. What a like easy, simple way to get us to care about him and to understand his stakes in this. Like, he has a family, and he also, you know, he's put his life into the research that is going to eventually end the world.
Yeah.
And
you can see he's excited about it too, because he didn't know.
Yeah,
he's like, well, how could we have known, right? I
Right.
think that's an
How
actual
could we
line.
have known?
Yeah. Yeah. Just really great stuff.
Yeah. I want deaths to matter in cinema. Is all I want.
Yeah.
And yeah, this movie does that incredibly well. This movie does LA incredibly well also, which we need to discuss, because we used to shoot movies on location. We did.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Now we shoot them on a location, and that location is the volume.
Oh.
And the blue screen.
No free ads for the volume.
Shout out.
But there's like a scene very early in this film, which this scene I would argue really sets up the entire movie. And like, after this scene, it is a go. Like, we are on our way, and that is the motorcycle truck chase.
Yeah, so good.
Through which crucially leaves from the Glendale Galleria. And shout out to the Glendale Galleria.
Yeah.
And
closer to the LA River than you think.
Yeah.
That's his big thing.
And then
Riley. Riley off screen, Riley shaking his head.
Okay, but then they're in the LA River, and they are just taking this, like, it's just a chase down the LA River, which for non-LA viewers, we have to say is not a real river.
Yeah,
it's not.
It used to be, and now it is completely dammed up. There's there's swaths of water at some point, but not at the time that they were filming.
It's not. So that's why you can have like a motorcycle and a truck racing down it. But that scene, like the practical effects of it, the like real, like just the grittiness of it that you can see at multiple points. You can see Arnold Schwarzenegger's like stunt double, and I don't care. Like I don't. Like, I am so wrapped in this movie and so like really on the edge of my seat for the scene that I don't care if it's him or not.
And because they're machines, the kind of like dogged determination, the stoic looks, like there's no like looking like, oh no, it's this very specific energy that you get put into, and that
is his mission. He's at that point, we still don't necessarily know, it's because it's so early in the movie. We learn at the end of that scene that, you know, for good, he, you know, like, he's here for the better of John Connor. He is here to protect him. He is here to make sure that T-1000 does not get him. T-1000, which is I think he's notably kind of just like a faceless guy. The actor, incredible, great job, but also he's kind of just looks like an everyman. And I think that's on purpose. Like, I think that also him being dressed as a cop, probably on purpose. Like, all of these things that like just upon reflection make it so much more of a powerful villain because he's supposed to be like an everyman that you trust.
Yeah.
He shows up to John Connor's house dressed as a cop, and like we learn that he kills his foster family. But the foster family, of course, they're going to open the door. Yeah. He's a friendly-looking cop looking for their son, and they assume he's in trouble.
Yeah.
And then they're in trouble.
Oh my god, that scene when they're doing the phone call and Arnold goes, "What's your dog's name?" Max. Wolfie's blah blah blah, and then John Connor was like, "What?" And then it's like,
what a twist!
Yeah, so
I don't
funny.
think I picked up on that. Like I've seen this movie before, but I hadn't seen it since maybe I was a teenager, and I don't think I remembered that. And just like the twist of that, and realizing like, oh shit, like you know they're dead right then and there. And John knows too, but, you know, and like that's another thing that adds to him and his growth over this movie. Like he has to learn really fast. Like I know it's pretty set up, but he doesn't care about his foster parents, but still he has to learn like, hey, these two people just died because, you know, because somebody's in pursuit of you. Yeah. And that's something that a 10-year-old has to like take to heart and move on, you know, and just keep moving.
Yeah. And I mean, it helps that like his mom was telling him this whole time, like, you know, these stories and like what to believe and what not to believe. And now that he's like seen this like thing, like in reality, he's like, oh man, this is I guess everything that I was raised with, I need to know. You know,
actually my mom was right.
Yeah.
Which I guess you never want to realize if your mom is in a mental institute, but like I said, this kid is going through it.
Yeah. And then he just gets with the plan, you know. There isn't a lot of like whatever. I feel like the effects hold up really well. The set pieces hold up really well.
Everything looks good.
Great.
I think this was another James Cameron classic of like going way over budget for those special effects, but then it pays off so well that nobody cares or remembers that. Yeah. You know, like there were a couple of moments that I was like, oh, this doesn't hold up as good. But then you see a moment like T-1000 coming up from the pattern of the floor and the tiles, and I was like, oh shit. Like this, they don't even make this now. Like they would not make something this good now.
Yeah, totally. Oh my god. The invented, and then like what they're allowed to do, like how what they decide to do to level up the machine, right? Like M3gan to Amelia isn't that big of a level up, right?
It's not that big of a like, or at least we don't get them telling us what's so different about the two of them. Yeah, the T-1000, it's made very clear, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he is a robot with like human skin essentially, but the T-1000 is made of liquid metal that is basically inkillable.
That can like shift and
it can shape into other people. It can
make simple weapons. Right?
Oh my god, the amount of times that he does the weapon thing with like when the pointing where his finger turns into a sword, I was like, it got me every time.
Yeah, it like gets me. Long knife arm is like, so funny.
Oh my god, like he looks a little bit like a G.I. Joe, but I don't care. Like, it's just so cool.
The only thing Amelia can turn into is just like a model, and that's it. That's what
a model that is sent from the present to seduce Jermaine Clement.
And he said, Brett McKenzie, who?
He said Allison Williams, who?
Oh yeah,
Allison Williams, who they have the nerve to call moderately attractive. Get the fuck out of here.
That's a dig from M3gan. That's on purpose.
That's a dig. That's gotta be. Allison, please. But
And something I wanted to touch on too is like when you said, you know, after that truck scene, the movie's like go go go, right? Even in the moments that they are expanding the plot, you do feel like there is this like energy of just like, okay, they're on the run, but something like that. Mm-hmm. Whereas M3gan 2.0 specifically does not have that. It really feels like every time they're not in the thing, it slows down. It really slows down.
This movie doesn't have a slow down feature. Like everything is sped up, and it is to get us to the ultimate conclusion of, you know, the face-off between T-1000 and T-800, the Terminator. And there are points in that face-off where you're like genuinely thinking, how do they win? Yeah. Because we know that I knew I had seen the movie before. Maybe you had a different feeling, but I knew watching it, I was like, well, they do win. I don't remember how. And they're just facing this guy. And at one point, he literally like a casual truck of liquid nitrogen overturns and freezes his ass. And his
says,
like,
hasta la vista, baby.
I know. And then he like the puddle of liquid metal thaws and he's back.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, they're not gonna kill him.
I mean, I said it earlier, but it's truly the most admirable thing about these movies, or the thing that I admire the most, is that how undefeatable they are and how they make these things feel like it's like, no, you just keep watching, because it's like they're gonna keep going. The people are still scared, and they're just like, we'll keep coming back. The first Terminator ended in a very similar way, right? Like Sarah Connor and Reese do everything they can to try to take down Arnold, and they can't. Like they eventually strip him down, no skin, and blah blah blah, and it finally takes
melt his ass.
Yeah, and they have to split him up. It's crazy. So then when this was happening, I'm like, he can keep reforming. How do you do it?
So what did you think was gonna happen as the first time watcher?
I mean, I was like, there's no way they just throw him in the vat of liquid, right? And then also how? And then also why didn't they do it sooner?
Yeah. Yep.
But like when I saw the ice reform, I think it did take a second where I was like, oh God, I really don't know. Like maybe they decide to freeze him again, so he's like permanently frozen, and they just have to leave him together. Like, could fire defeat it? I don't know. I mean, that scene goes on for, it really feels like it goes on for a long time when they're in that factory or whatever.
Yeah, I believe.
And they're just like, they're like cutting each other up, and yeah,
they're really going for it. It does go on a little bit long, but it does keep moving. It like, it doesn't give you time to be like,
I'm never
taking
checking
a while.
the watch, right? I'm just like, whoa, like this is
But with this kind of movie, it feels more like an out and out fight because there is no relenting in those moments.
And it's coming off the heels of another big set piece too, of the lab heist,
chase,
or
the lab
what
heist,
all that. Yeah.
The lab heist into the chase.
Yeah.
Another truck chase on the 405 where apparently in this world there's no traffic.
There's no traffic.
Oh, no.
That's pretty late at night. It's probably a Tuesday?
Seems like I want to say it was a school night. Yeah. John was not really somebody that was thinking about school though. I got the impression, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Dyson's
get
son,
to the
Dyson's son probably
Dyson's
was like, he was like, I'm staying up.
Do you think he's going to school tomorrow? The next day?
No way. He's playing with RC cars forever.
This poor kid.
Yeah.
My dad just blew himself up to save you in the future.
That's the next spin-off, is about Dyson.
Oh my God.
And how he made Dyson, but they used the technology from the Terminator
to make
the
Dyson
best vacuums ever.
No free ads.
No free ads. But yeah, so to the last scene, right? Yeah.
All the way to the last scene. And it just, the last scene throughout this movie, we do get, obviously we've talked about how Gemma and Sarah Connor are the mother figures, but we don't get a father figure really in Megan. Yeah. Whereas the Terminator is kind of being like a cool stepdad in this movie, and he's kind of like the action figure that you wish was your dad when you're a kid.
I mean, Sarah has the voiceover line too, where she was like, of course that this would be the father figure that like I could have never been, like this person who is the exact opposite of me, right?
This person that I couldn't give him, and I do think that accelerates again that growth in John, but also it humanizes the Terminator.
Yes.
It humanizes him in such a way that at the end, not only when T-1000 has been defeated and we think like, oh, thank God, but we get moments of him having genuine emotional connection to John. Yeah. And like being relieved that this is over, but wanting to keep protecting him. You know, but Sarah is injured. You know, she's been shot. She's losing a lot of blood. And then when he ultimately has to be destroyed, it is gut-wrenching. You know, like that is a moment that does hit you. And I think that it is because you've spent a really accelerated, intense period of time with these people. Yes. And, you know, it just feels so like we've been through all of this together. What do you mean we can't get through this one last thing? Yeah, yeah. I mean, John's like screaming, you know, and he's like, no, we can figure this out. We can figure this out. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And he's becoming a kid again, and he's still a child. Like that scene reminds you he is still a child. And, you know, ultimately it's the end for Terminator until 2016, I guess. when they decided to make another one that didn't do very well.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that too. But this movie, I feel like, laid a blueprint for a lot of sequels that we have now. Whether it's M3gan 2.0 or something like a movie that we will explore in our next episode, Jurassic World Rebirth. Like, there are blueprints for future sequels in this movie where you are facing something bigger and badder, and you like who you thought was bad is good and who you thought was good is bad. You know, like all of those things that kind of turn the tables are right here in this movie, and this movie did it first.
Yeah, that's a great point. And just like when you come, you know, a character so iconic like the Terminator like comes onto the scene, what is the next step for them, right? And do they become good? Do they become bad?
Right? Do they get worse? I mean, yeah.
You know, and
you could go that way too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, totally agree. And I'm excited to kind of like continue diving back into older movies, and then honestly applying some of this like kind of sequel logic to older films and seeing like, you know, is every sequel based off T2?
Right. I mean, I feel like the only one like more iconic that is older is maybe Godfather 2, which is another very, you know, sequels have taken their blueprint from there too.
Yeah.
Like one
reaching into the past,
yes,
right? Yeah.
The present timeline versus the past timeline, converging in the future. You know,
and
all
continuing
of those
showing another side of another favorite character, right? Yeah.
Exactly. A way to bring back a character who has died.
Yeah.
Or it's very interesting to go back and see those characteristics that are in movies today that were made 34, 35 years ago. And I think that that's what makes these two specifically such a good pair, is that you can see it so clearly. Like, it's so naked. Once you have seen Terminator 2, you said it yourself. Like, you saw M3gan 2 first, which how did that make you feel? Like, how, like, I suggested Terminator 2 before you had seen Terminator 2.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you went to see M3gan 2.0, you had not yet seen Terminator 2. How did you feel after you saw Terminator 2 about M3gan 2?
Like a cold shower on a hot day. It was refreshing. It was great. It really made me feel hopeful that, you know, we as a culture knew how to tell stories at one point.
We did.
And we'll get back there.
We will. Do you think it's going to be with Avatar 3, Fire and Ash?
We'll see.
Asking you that with no preparation.
That's a lot. You know, the visuals look very cool.
Well, but James Cameron is the godfather of the sequel. Like, not T2, we should mention, is not his only iconic sequel.
Right.
He directed Aliens. Which I might argue is the how to say this? The only sequel that is as good, if not better. But I think that the first Alien is so good and so iconic. Like, I would not raise them against each other. Yeah. James Cameron was able to one up, but also continue that franchise. Yeah. And he took that magic to T2.
Yeah, and for a second, I didn't even realize he directed the first Terminator too, because I thought he just came in for T2. But when I was like,
you thought he was just the sequel master?
Yeah, the sequel
at that
master.
Point.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
but
he's really more like the Ocean's master, kind of.
Hey, he stays in the ocean.
Yeah,
he loves it down there.
Yeah.
You think he can swim?
Oh,
he's always in. No, I'm serious. He's always in like some kind of weird pod vehicle. Like, don't laugh at me, Riley. He's always in like a submarine or a boat or like something. I'm like, he loves the ocean, but how much?
I mean, I bet you he has one of those pools that can simulate a current at home, right? And he does like the little laps, or
he's got everything.
Or he'll sit in like a little raft and feel it, like
just to simulate the feeling of being back in the water.
Yeah,
like Avatar 2: The Way of Water. Which I don't think I'd put that on my list of iconic sequels, though.
No, but I really do like that last sequence a lot. The last big set piece.
You mean Titanic too?
Yeah, Titanic 2.
Run it back. This time we're blue.
Instead of Rose, her name's Tulip.
Her name is Took. Get it right.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's it. All right. Well, before we go, we've had, if you are only listening on audio, you might not know that there has been kind of like a little M3gan thing of our own sitting in the back this whole time, waiting to patiently share thoughts about the movie. M3gan, this is our kind of little like our version of M3gan. M3gan, what do you have to say for yourself after hearing this about your latest film?
Woogity boogity, A+ from me.
Thanks, M3gan. Great.
I feel more confident now that we're not going to be overtaken by robots. Don't you, Evan?
Yeah, I'm feeling great.
Okay.
I'm feeling great. Gabby, where can the people find us, the podcast?
Oh my God. I'm so glad that you asked, Evan. The people can find us at Back to the Feature Pod on Instagram and YouTube, and Back to the Pod on Letterboxd.
Ooh.
I don't know why my brain just gave out for a second.
Yeah, and you can find me on Letterboxd at Evan J. Y.
Evan J. Y.
Yeah, I got
Where's
it
the
because
ye?
I know it was a whole thing. Actually, in this room, Matt, who's been working on the tech with us, Matt told me about Letterboxd 10 years ago, 10 or so years ago. And I was like, this is a film platform, and I want to be a filmmaker. So that means I have to be professional. None of this ye old Evan stuff. It's Evan J. Y. And how silly do I feel now?
Well, you're going to feel real silly because mine is just Gabby Ruiz.
Feeling like a goddamn clown over here.
Ooh, this has been Back to the Future with Evan and Gabby. We will see you next time.
See you at the movies. We can't say that one.
No, we can't.
Can't say that one.
We'll see you in Jurassic World.
See you in the new world.
Back to the Feature is created and produced by Evan Yee and Gabby Ruiz. Our technical producers this episode were Matt Prince and Riley Oskelis. This episode was edited by Evan Yee. Original music by Austin Yee. You can follow the podcast on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod and on Instagram at Back to the Feature Pod. Have a movie pairing you think would be fun for us to watch? Email us at backtothefeaturepod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.